Okay, so hi, my name is Uta Hinrichs. I'm a lecturer at the University of St. Andrews, and my research focuses on exploring how humanities scholars can make use of information visualizations to help them research literary collections. So for instance, I'm working right now on a project where we explore a collection of science fiction stories to see what kind of themes are coming up in these stories. And this will help to evaluate how the genre of science fiction has evolved over time. So the literary collection we are working with is called the Gibson Anthologies of Speculative Fiction. And Bob Gibson was an avid collector of science fiction stories. And he created, he read a lot of science fiction stories himself. And if he liked the story, he would cut it out of the source magazine and create these little booklets of fanzines, basically. So over his lifetime, he created more than 890s of these anthologies. And he kept this collection very much to himself, but there are thousands and thousands of science fiction stories in there, ranging from 1840 to the 1990s. And we are using visualization to make sense of what's actually in the collection, what kind of authors are we dealing with, what kind of topics are coming up in these stories, and how Gibson, as a science fiction fan, and actually as an amateur expert, how he classified science fiction. Which is really interesting for literary research. So it could be very useful for library collections because libraries obviously deal with very unique literary collections and books, music. And my goal is to create visualizations that are not just an abstraction, so not every visualization looks the same and you don't really know what kind of collection it represents, but I'm trying to make use of the unique visual and material qualities of the collection. So you see the visualization and kind of represents a flavor of the collection itself as you start to explore it. Much like when you kind of walk by a bookshelf and you take a glance and you kind of see the cover colors and kind of the illustrations and you kind of get an idea if this is a collection you want to kind of dive into or not.